Grab your notebook or just settle in because together we're about to chart a course to success. This is my 7-tip series, and I'm thrilled to have you with us. Let's get started. Welcome to the B-Xcellent podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Brandon Harrison Smith, and today I have a great episode for you. This actually starts off our new series called the B-Xcellent 7-Tip series. Each episode in this series will help create your path to success with practical and actionable advice. These are the insights you need to thrive in STEM and beyond. As we embark into the series, our first stop is a toolkit designed for taking your very step into the world of higher education. Whether you're a first-year student yourself or someone supporting a new student's journey, this series is your compass. So the first thing in my 7-tip series is crafting your space and routine for success. So what I mean by this is that it is important to seek out places that support your ability to succeed. And that can be your physical space, your virtual space, your mental space, and your communal space. What I mean by physical space is typically your physical environment where you set up shop to do your work. So this could be library space, coffee shops, maybe it's even your room, how you keep your desk, the organization, all of that. All right. Finding those spaces. So if you're a first year student, you want to find these spaces on campus where you feel the most comfortable getting your work done. Virtual spaces. What I mean by this is I'm talking about your computer space. All right. I'm talking about your cell phone, all of these things. So when I talk about computer space, sometimes people have pages and papers and documents open all over the place. You want to keep yourself very, very organized in your virtual space. All right. And this sounds true for physical space. If you're talking about your room or your desk, it needs to be clean. All right. I know for me, if you want to know a representation of where I'm at in life, look at my computer space, look at my house, my apartment. When I'm organized, I'm at my peak potential for getting work done. All right. So you want to make sure you organize your space, declutter. The next thing in your virtual space is also social media. All right. Your virtual space needs to be filled with positivity. All right. Inspirational things that you're taking in or educational. Also, you want to limit distractions. Sometimes it's very easy to be distracted. Sometimes you got games on your phone. Sometimes you are scrolling through TikTok videos or YouTube videos all day long and you wind up losing yourself hours at a time. So limit yourself. So what I offer to some people or even to myself sometimes, set a timer because sometimes it's nice to have a break, just not too long of a break. So set a 15 to 20 minute timer for your break and then get back to work. All right. Next is the mental space. All right. This is your mindset. All right. A lot of times when something happens to us, we get a bad grade on our exam. We have a bad day. We woke up on the wrong side of the bed. We kind of take that with us. You want to have a growth mindset though. When you fail an exam, you don't want to just hang on the point that you failed the exam. You want to hang on the point of how can you grow from your failure. All right. Take that exam, look through it, and figure out what you did wrong so that you can be more successful moving forward. Have a growth mindset about things in life. The next thing about your mental space, if you want to be successful, another thing you can do is give yourself space to think. And sometimes that means getting away from everybody and getting to a place of solitude so you can have quietness where you can think and have clearer thoughts about what you're going to do or clearer thoughts about getting the work done. The next thing is communal space. All right. This is the people you hang around, your tribe, your family, and all this other stuff. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with individuals that are working on the same goals. All right. When I was in undergrad, I used to, on the weekends, go to the library with friends. They were in different majors or in different classes, and we would go to the library and we used to just go get our work done all day. That formed like some type of camaraderie where we influenced each other to get our work done. And that was very helpful. So I also advise people to do the same thing. If you want to do better at a particular thing, surround yourself with people who are also striving for better. So it's not just about focusing like on the spaces that are already created for you. As I stated, the universities usually have great opportunities for individuals to do well by crafting learning spaces or libraries or coffee shops. But your space might be unconventional. Maybe it might be outside in the grass at the fountains on the university campus, or it might be in a coffee shop. It might be in the common rooms in your dorms. Wherever it might be, you want to set yourself up for success. My next tip is to set SMART goals. All right. For some of you guys, you already are doing this, and some of you guys don't know what SMART goals are. So SMART goals, SMART being the acronym. All right. S stands for specific, M stands for measurable, A stands for achievable, R stands for relevant, and T stands for timely. So when we talk about specific, this is the first start you take into when you want to be successful at something. Specific means you have a targeted trajectory. All right. What I mean by this is a lot of times when you ask students, what is their goal? They say, I want to do well in school. That is nice, but it's not specific enough. It's not very clear of what that means. I can't measure that. I can't determine whether I made it to my target or not. What does it mean to do well in school? So what you would do there is you would get a little bit more specific. I want a certain GPA. Okay. I want a GPA of a 3.5. All right. I want to master a skill. I want to complete a research project. These things become very specific in nature. The next point is measurability. How do you measure that you've achieved your goal? So I want to reach a certain GPA. I want to reach a 3.5. I want to master a skill. I want to master a computer language. I want to master C#. You know, you're getting very specific, and then there's going to be measurability here. You say computer language. So therefore, the computer language that I want to measure is that I'm going to be able to say that I've mastered is C#. And mastering, what does that mean? Maybe it's completing a course. So that's measurable. I can measure that I started the course now. I haven't started the course now, and now I've completed the course. Attainable. The next thing is this. It's nice to shoot high, but it's also important to stay wise in your attainability of said goal. So I could say that I want to master this computer language, C#. However, if I say I wanted to master this in 5 days, that may not be attainable because it may be too short of a time period to actually master something like that. All right. And so you want to make sure whatever you're doing is obtainable. It makes sense. So it might require you to do a little bit more research. You do want to stretch your limits. You don't want to have a forever goal, but you don't want to actually have a goal that, is going to put you in the position of failure, no matter how hard you try. Relevance. Okay. Sometimes I think this is also very important. All of these things are very important, but I like to put a little emphasis on the relevance. Sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in a whole bunch of goals. We have sometimes so many talents, so many things that we want to do in life. And when it comes to college, I think what's important is that whatever goals you're striving for, hopefully are more complementary to what your end goal is. All right. So you might want to become a leading expert in climate change. Okay. So the next question, when you make a goal that says you want to become master cross stitching, which is a certain technique, the question now becomes is how is this goal that you just set for yourself this semester relevant to your ultimate goal of becoming an expert in climate change? So what would make a goal more relevant is if I said I want to get my certification in climate change policies. Well, that sounds like it aligns with my overall goal of becoming an expert in climate change because it directly connects to one another. So make sure the goals that you're setting, these miniature goals that you set for yourself also are well connected to whatever your ultimate big goal is. Time bound. All right. As I stated before, whatever your goal should be, it should make sense. Okay. If I'm going to say I want to master a particular computer language in, let's say, 60 days, does that make sense? And you could say, no, it doesn't make sense because that's too hard. That's too short of a period of time. Or you might have found a course. You say, oh, I found a course that says mastering C# in 60 days. Well, that does sound a little bit timely. The other thing about timely is not only setting the appropriate amount of time to do whatever your goal is, but it's also about being flexible. Sometimes things happen. You get sick. Maybe there's something that happens with your family. Who knows? But it's very important to make sure you're flexible at adjusting your timeline based on what happens to you. The tip is SMART goals. And for you guys listening, I challenge you guys to share with me some of your SMART goals for the year. Or if you don't have SMART goals, create a SMART goal for the next week. All right. And share those with me. The next I have for you is mastering your domain, campus navigation. Now, from the surface, this probably is a no-brainer to some people. They're just like, oh, this, I need to know where all the building structures are on my campus. And yes, that is true. However, what I mean here is not just the buildings, but the rich resources that you have access to you on campus. Okay. So yes, you want to be able to navigate your campus. You need to know where your courses are held, your department is at. Yes. But you also need to know the resources, such as where the computer labs are, where the tutoring centers are, where the career center is, etc. Your course is full of resources. Know them, know where they are, know how to access them. There's technology resources such as online library services. How do you access them? Because you're going to have research to do in college. You want to make sure you know how to access them appropriately. And sometimes there's even cooler technology out there too, like 3D printing. How do you access that? Can you access it? And sometimes it's not also just about the physical resources, but in terms of like building structures or centers, but also the faculty and staff. These are just as important to know. You want to know the faculty in terms of knowing what kind of research they have going on. You want to know staff members because they have a plethora of information to give to you to help you be successful. And you don't want to just know who they are. You want them to know who you are. Everywhere I go, I actually do this. All right. And at each stage of my career, I make sure to navigate my landscape. I also make sure I know all the resources and I get to know the people here and I let them know who I am. And a lot of times this is helpful because when I was an undergrad, I had faculty and staff reach out to me because I introduced myself to them. They reached out to me and was like, hey, I know you told me you were interested in bioengineering. There's actually this summer internship that I think you should apply for. It's due soon. Make sure you get that out. I'll write you a recommendation letter. Those are the type of things that can happen by you letting people know who you are. So do not just get to know these resources, but go visit these places, go visit these people, and learn how to gain access to these services. My next tip is build your support system, start networking. So this kind of follows off of the last tip where I said you need to get to know the faculty and staff. The reason why I want you to do that is you want to start creating that support network. We want to turn our attention to the impact of what a community can bring. These faculty and staff members can share their wisdom and provide guidance. Now, you can get guidance from many different people. They don't just have to be faculty or staff. They could be upperclassmen. They could be professionals in your field. And what they offer is the ability to help mentor you and give you invaluable advice. And they can even open doors for you. So how you meet these people is, some of it is just doing the research online, showing up to their office hours and introducing yourself. Some of it is going to the plethora of networking events that, most campuses typically give. Sometimes it's joining professional associations or engaging with alumni. Alumni are really good at providing you resources and information. One, they went to the university, they know the professors, they know some of the ins and outs of the university, and they also, are successful in their own right typically, and they have doors that can be open for you for potential career opportunities. I'd also, challenge people, like once you, get these mentors and you become successful, I also, like to remind people mentoring is a two-way street, and you don't have to be like way down the line and successful for you to be able to give knowledge back to someone. So, seek out the opportunity to mentor others, teaching them what you've learned, because as times change, there's more information to be given out. So reach out to someone that you admire. I challenge people to reach out to someone you admire for potential for them to become your mentor. Or if you see someone might need mentoring, reach out to them and see if you can be of service or help to them. The next one of my tips is a bit of a personal tip, but I think it applies to everyone in some way or another. All right. And so this tip is called look good and feel good. All right. So this is about the synergy between looking your best and feeling your best, a harmony that resonates with confidence and self-assurance. So basically your personal presentation. All right. And so I believe this is important for a couple different reasons, or I will just say one main reason. All right. You are representing yourself. How I like to think about people is we are a business. All right. And as your presentation of your business speaks to whether people want to do business with you or even be associated with your establishment. And so how you appear to others is important for the growth of your own business. So how do you do this? This can be done in certain different ways. Could be how you dress. You want to dress in clothes that make you feel comfortable, but you also want to dress in clothes that make you feel presentable. All right. And so that could be however you want it to be. It could be by wearing a suit. Some people don't feel comfortable in a suit. You don't have to wear a suit, but do know you probably shouldn't show up in pajamas. You shouldn't show up in dirty clothes. If you can wash them, wash your clothes, look presentable, look good, feel good. The next thing you can do, I'd encourage students to work on their fitness. All right. Go to the gym. Or if you can't, you don't have time to go to the gym all the time, or you don't have access to a gym, go for a 30-minute walk. You want to do stuff that encourages good fitness in the body. And the next thing is, focusing on your nutrition. I know it's very hard. You want to eat quick food, junk food in college, but when you can, try to eat a little healthier. I know most colleges and universities offer a cafeteria, there's salads. You want to try to do your best to, eat healthier foods, get in vitamins. And the last thing on this list is getting your beauty sleep. All right. A lot of students typically are, not sleeping more than 2-3 hours. And and that impacts your ability to work at your most optimal level. And so that's what this is all about, is helping you work at your optimal level, and then also encouraging you to look your best, because you never know who's watching you. There's been plenty of times where, just my presentation alone, I believe, caught the eyes of people, and how I carried myself allowed people to feel confident with inviting me to different events to speak to people who might have influences on the career, certain career doors that could be open for me. I really like this tip, and I think it'll help a lot of people. So look good and feel good. So if you can, try to apply some of these things. Go for a 30-minute walk. Try to eat a little healthier. Try to get a little bit more sleep. It might mean going to bed a little earlier, and then looking good and feeling good. All right. Don't just wake up, roll out of bed, wear your pajamas, and go to class. Put some clothes on and feel good about yourself. My next tip is organize your mind. So this is very important. Again, some of these tips, while they were tips for first-year students, these are tips that I carry on to today. And this one is just as important. What I do is I create a daily and weekly system where I schedule out what I'm doing in the week. So what I do in the beginning of the week on Sunday afternoon/evening is I plot out what I'm going to be doing Monday through Friday, or Saturday sometimes if something's extended that far. And I plot out, what classes I had. Then I plotted out my free time, and then I plotted out how I wanted to spend that free time. Maybe I knew I had an exam this week and I needed to study. So I wanted to study Monday through Thursday because there is an exam on Friday. Then I would also schedule if there's an assignment due that week too. And then I plot out a course for that assignment, or I plot out a course for study time because there's an exam not this week, but the following week. And I really tried to structure my weekly calendar so that way I can stay organized and efficient. Nowadays, there's, some really good things that you can do to help keep yourself organized. And I would say that's by utilizing calendars. Now, there's a lot of different calendars that you could use on your Google Calendar, which is free. Or if you're using some of your computer email systems like Outlook, there's your Outlook calendar. The cool thing about utilizing these calendars and putting your information there is they can also serve as alarm systems that go off and let you know that, hey, you're supposed to be in class, or hey, it's time to study. So I like utilizing those things as well. Another thing that comes with organization, and I think that goes underrated and some people struggle with, is where to organize your information. And since so much is digital these days, I like to still utilize Google Drive or your OneDrive in Outlook, where you can create folders and you can store information within those folders. And the reason why I like this is because if something happens to my computer, or I left my computer at home, or I left my flash drive or external drive somewhere, as long as I have computer access, I can access those documents from anywhere. And so that's another way that I try to stay organized. And when it comes to academia, you're thrown so much information, and it's important to make sure all that information is organized well and accessible whenever you need. My next tip, and might be biased, one of my favorite tips, is learning from reflection. So I believe that looking back so that I can move forward is very important and ultimately helps me grow and adapt. And so what I do is I typically do a reflection weekly, semesterly, and then yearly. And what I'm doing in this process, I have a couple different stages to the process. And the first stage is what I'm doing is asking myself, what did I learn? What could I have done differently? And what will I change moving forward? Like I said, this is important because what I'm looking for here is not just to be critical about what I did wrong, but also to be and to kind of be insightful about how I want to move forward. That's really what it's about. I want to move forward, and I don't want to make the same mistakes that I made before. I want to improve upon something so that way I can be more successful. Now, how you can do this is, what I would suggest to people is to keep maybe a daily journal or a semi-daily journal where you are writing down significant moments that happened. Maybe today you failed an exam. Maybe today you learned a new skill or technique, or you learned that, hey, I do very well when I study in a coffee shop or I study in the library. Whatever that is, you want to reflect on those types of moments so that you can take some of that learned or experience into the future. Sometimes moments, though, can be a little bit hard to really grasp why something happened. And another point that I would like to make here is that sometimes you need feedback from other people in order to really figure out and how you want to move forward in your next steps. So maybe you didn't do well on an exam, or maybe there was an altercation and you don't know what you could have done better. Sometimes it's important to insight the perspective of other individuals. This could be peers, these could be mentors, or this could be your professor. And what they might do is help you understand something about the situation that may not have been clear for you. And what I also would caution people is that sometimes when you hear feedback, it may not be favorable to you. Maybe there was something that you may not have done well, and you're going to want to be open to that feedback. All right. Because this is not about, in my opinion, hurting your feelings. This is about making sure you're successful moving forward. And the next part I want to say about that is that the STEM journey is a long journey sometimes, and it's also a very difficult and challenging journey. And so there is going to be times that you will fail, but that doesn't mean you are overall a failure. All right. Because your process is still going on. I briefly touched on this earlier about the point of embracing that growth mindset. What the growth mindset says is that when I fail something, I don't necessarily just hang on the point that I failed that particular thing. I hang on to the point that I did fail this thing, but how am I going to move forward? All right. And so that I can succeed next time. All right. That's the growth mindset. It's not hung up on this one particular moment, but it's hung up on the overall journey here. And the next thing you want to do is not just to just be in this constant review of the process. You don't want to just be in this learning mode of what did I learn and what have I done differently? What will I change? You want to start to create actionable insight from what has transpired in your week reflection, or your semesterly reflection, or your yearly reflection. You want to move from just talking about what happened to what you're going to do moving forward. So what I'd encourage, like I said, I do this on a weekly, semesterly, and yearly basis, where I take a look back at the previous week, or I look back at the whole semester, or I take a look back at the whole year, and I try to reflect on what has transpired and what I would like to change and what I will do moving forward. So, what I suggest people is just to start their own simple reflection approaches, whether it be academically, whether it be professionally, or personally. Create your own reflection sort of rituals. And so with that, we explored 7 different tips. We went through crafting your space for success, finding what places kind of help you succeed at the highest level. We talked about SMART goals and what it means to create SMART goals. We talked about mastering your domain, really navigating your space, knowing all the resources at your fingertips. We talked about building your support system and the importance of doing so. We talked about looking good and feeling good. All right. And what that means. Yes, it could be what you wear, but it's also how you feel on the inside. And so how you do that, you might, work on your fitness, you work on what you put into your body and so forth. Organizing your mind. We talked about, structuring out your calendars, creating these little block systems where you block out times where you have classes, or you have study time, or you have homework assignments that need to be done and so forth. And then lastly, we talked about reflection and, what that means and how you should go about reflecting on your particular life. And so with that comes the close of the B-Xcellent podcast. You can connect with us in the YouTube comments, or maybe you're connecting through Spotify, whichever. Let's continue this conversation about your success journey, fostering community around learning and growing and helping each other to excel. But until next time, keep striving, keep growing, be excellent in everything you do. Later.